can immediately use and very simple that people can use. Is there anything you can say in that regard?
Good day, everyone. I'm very, very happy to be part of this setup today. As we all know, when we say now is a global village, that we're living in a global village, the global village has been powered by information superhighways, the so-called internet. So internet, if some of these resources, a lot of enormous resources, could be organized in a web platform to create the internet platform where you have organized information that could be accessible to everyone. Now that most people have access to very powerful computers in their hands, called the smartphone. So that's particularly the way that it could be organized, channeled in the web, so that it will be accessible by anyone.
Okay. So thank you for that. I think we will return back to that, especially when we're looking at the way forward. Now let me come to Mr. Adeyemo. Mr. Adeyemo, you've been within the circle of this migration governance a very long time. You were once in the system of government, you are now outside. Now, I want to hear from you in terms of what Mr. Alex has said. The challenges you met when you were there in the system, are they still there now? What do you think is being done better? Or what should be done better in the way of making the migration issues Nigeria simplified? Thank you. Can I have that one of those mics? Okay. We're actually going to share one with this and one with that. Okay.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Let me first of all join my brother to congratulate Nigerians and wish our president happy birthday. I think he deserves it. And I want to thank the organizers for bringing me in and letting me interact with colleagues. Just like he said, it's been quite a long while we've been in this process of migration, particularly labor migration. I will want to say that, like I said, it's been a long while. And we've gone through a series of ups and downs. I must confess there have been lots of better things that has happened over the years, and also there are gaps. For example, when it comes to policy issues, at the time we started, we had only labor migration policy of 2014. Then shortly after, we have the migration policy of 2015. And since then, we have the diaspora policy. And also there are so many institutional developments that has taken place over the years. Notwithstanding, there have been gaps. And that's why today you have so many Nigerians still going through the irregular pathways. That's why today you have many Nigerians being abused, being denied their rights. And so what that tells us is that we still have a long way to go. It's not just having the policy, the documents in place, but there's a need for us to have proper implementation of the policies of these documents in place. If the documents are very fine, good documents, for implementation matters. for us to have projects, programs that will enlighten Nigerians, programs and projects that will help to address issues of migrant rights, migrants being denied their fundamental human and labor rights. We all know that migration is key to development. Migration and development goes hand in hand. But again, we cannot realize the potentials of migration if we don't effectively manage migration. We don't effectively implement programs and policies that we ensure the rights of these wonderful Nigerians who have taken it upon themselves to go out of their shores, of their countries, to go and work and bring something back to us here. So, like I said, like he said, there have been quite a lot of developments in terms of the migration management, but again, there are other ups and downs, gaps, which we need to effectively, address to ensure that we effectively derive the benefits of migration for Nigeria as a country of origin, transit, and destination country. Thank you.
Thank you, Ademo. I've resolved recently that when I get into conversations of this nature, I want to come out with action points. Not you should have, or you should, or why not. In all this you said now, is there anything springing up from your head? Like, if we do this, if we start to do this, we would be able to hold together those migration programs in such a way that they amplify the success we have made and then stay more on the hope of where we want to. Just one.
Well, I think one that comes to my mind immediately is the issue of adequate preparation of Nigerian migrants going out of the country.
Okay.
There's a need to adequately prepare them for what awaits them over there. This had not been the case. And that's why we have issues, like I said, issues of Nigerians going through irregular pathways. When many of them were asked the question, would you have gone on this, would you have embarked on this project if you knew what awaits you? The question is, and the answer is, no, I wouldn't have. So there's a need now for us to ensure effective sensitization of these migrants. And I'm happy that now, yes, the Minister of Labor in particular is on the path of ensuring that, yes, they have the process to adequately prepare migrants for the journey ahead and to sensitize them on how to even fight for their rights and how to ensure that, yes, over there, they are not, denied their rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What you said now lean into our conversation with the two emerging partners we are talking with. The academia I'll start with. He mentioned the issue of preparing our prospective migrants well before they travel, not just to get the work, but to understand the journey and also issues of rights. So let me come to Dr. Gloria. What is your Center of Excellence on Migration at the Open University doing in terms of academic framework that helps migration in Nigeria? And then I would want you to twin that with attempting to answer Ademo's proposal. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. I want to also add my voice to that of others to praise the organizers of this program. Yes, in the academia, for example, in my own university, being a center of excellence in migration and global studies, a very new center, but we are striving right now to get programs into to bring about programs that will help returnees, mainly returnees, to be able to adapt back to their system, to have a kind of entrepreneurship training and education for returnees, so that when they are back home from, when they bring them back from their migrant state, they can readapt into the system. Yes, looking at it from the perspective of the last speaker, sensitizing those who are leaving is also very important, which we also think we are going to also incorporate into our plans of getting short trainings for returnees. We have short trainings that are in the pipeline, and they all come into perspective from next year, because we started just about a year plus now. We also will think about sensitization, like the last speaker has said, because that will also help those who are going to know that it's not all a bed of roses when you leave this country, that you just pick dollars or pounds sterling on the street. Know that there are many things they will have to contend with. So, because people don't really tell people the truth about what they really face over there. Many people face a lot of distress when they are out of this country, but they always see it as, oh, once you get to Canada, it is over. Or once you are in the US, everything is sorted out. It's not true. There are a lot of things you have to contend with. And I also believe that there's nowhere like home. Yes, you may feel that Nigeria is not giving us all we wanted to have from it, but home is home, and it's always better to be home. Of course, these migrants that are most affected, like you and I know, are those ones that are the irregular migrants, especially those who just want to run out because they think they want to make a living. Of course, those who go away legally, that maybe went for a form of education or the other, may not find it as bad. But those who just go there because of ESA, hearing that they are making money in these countries, are the ones who really get badly hit. So we are going to look at the sensitization part, but above all, those who come back, for them to come back and have something doing, for them to come back and help them to be able to reason what they can do with their hands, with their brain, with their skills, with their gifts, and know that back home, you can still make it and be more comfortable than running out there on the streets.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Ma. Of course, when we get to the academia, we expect nothing less. But I'm going to come back to you later, though. So let's hold it for now. Yes. In national migration dialogue and management in Nigeria, we have tried to adopt a holistic approach that talks about a balanced migration narrative. A balanced migration narrative is the one that tells the story of successes as well as capture the ugly stories about it. Many times, media and other narrative folks would always stay on one aspect. Now, in your Gloria's speech, you mentioned those two categories and the kind of situations they meet. We have in our midst someone who is not in that irregular route. So we also have opportunity now not to hear only of the woes of migration, but also to hear about the dividends of migration done well in the person of somebody who has been here. But I want to tweak my question of getting into Mr. Emeka here. Knowing who you are from what we have, you seem to be doing well in Nigeria before you left. So you were not hungry, you were not poor. You started a business with $2,000 and grew it up to over $1 million here in Nigeria, employed over 25 persons here in Nigeria, and you still left Nigeria and went to UK. And in UK, you have co-founded and you are the head of strategy of Brain Force Capital, where you're still managed today with huge investments. I don't know how I'll ask this question, but let me try. Why did you leave? Number one, why did you leave? I thought if it is comfortable, then you should be home. Now, if you answer why you left, you help us understand. What is it there when you live with, like Adoyemo talked about being prepared, and Madam responded to it. And now, I want us to hear from you the real experience of being prepared before you get there and how it helped you to pave your way. So, why did you leave?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Like everyone knows, many people wouldn't really understand this thing, that Nigeria as a country earns their foreign so-called dollar income from two sources. One of them is oil resources, hydrocarbons. And the other one is remittances from migrants, that's Nigerians that migrated to somewhere. Now, if you look at the figures, Nigerian budget this year, last year was about $17 billion, out of which we had oil at about 4 to 5 billion. Even that, regardless of our foreign debt, because we don't have oil anymore, people think Nigeria earn any money from oil because we are servicing debt in dollars. So even the interest we are paying is more than our oil money. So, but foreign income, remittances, have been about 22 billion per year. Can you imagine? So we are actually surviving in terms of dollar income, because dollar is something we can print. We can print naira, but we can't print dollar, which is the real income. Nigeria has been surviving on remittances from abroad. Then coming to your question, yes, I started early, set up a company here in Nigeria, a computer firm, did really well, took risks as business people do. Had the interaction with, I had business associates maybe in Europe, here, in Asia and other. From a small company, we built up a very big one. But I had a very, very rough, because I had very high ambition, very, very high. So there was no framework, legal framework. Maybe if you do a job for a company, they will say they pay in 30 days, they will never pay. You do for government, 1 year, 2 years, nothing is going to is happening. You go to the bank to borrow money, nothing. They will say, bring your mother's whatever. You won't get anything. Somebody is owing you, he won't pay. There is no legal framework for you to survive, because for business to thrive, there must be a legal framework that we compel somebody to fulfill his agreement, his or her own agreement. Without that, no business will survive. So I left, I didn't really leave. I went there to top up my, I went there to really top up my little education. You know, I had always wanted to have, foreign degree. I didn't need it. I was employing people, whatever, but I want to, at least I have a degree in America or in London. So when I got there now, I had the so-called master's degree. I wasn't a security man. I was a big man in that school, But at the end of the day, I was now looking at the society, the way, I was doing some sort of secondment, like IT, some secondment somewhere. And the guy said, hey, you are not supposed to be here, sir. I mean, if you have this kind of ideas, you do this. So I now found out that if I had decent proposals and all that, I could even get anything you wanted without even knowing anyone. So my situation started changing little by little. I now said, okay, I went into finance on the internet, advising people how to invest. And one white man I hadn't seen wrote me a mail and said, hey, you are smart. You could build Google, you could build Facebook, you could do anything in technology. I say, yeah, He said, okay, but you can do this in the stock market, because in the stock market, you can be in any sector. We were conversing, but we haven't met. I didn't even know where he was communicating from. Anyway, to cut the long story short, one day he said, could you use your skill, manage some money for me? I said, yeah. He said, okay, let's draft an agreement. You can draft something. As a Nigerian, I didn't believe it. I told my wife, I said, somebody somewhere said he's going to pay me, bring money for me to manage. I hadn't seen the person. He said, I gave him a bogus proposal in order to scare him away. I said, okay, like $500,000 will be a good one. And do you know what happened? After all said and done, this man paid that money. He was like, what's going on here? I didn't know what to do. So, but my heart, typical me, I brought myself, my heart, and said, I must succeed. This is Eldorado for me. It wasn't easy because I was still an amateur, even in the market. I had some issues, and we lost money. We lost maybe about $200,000 of somebody's money. I hadn't met him before. But I was, the record was there, clear. After some time, he said, hey, I like you. We can still be friends, but let's meet so that we talk the way forward. That time, I told my wife, I said, okay, I'm going to meet this man. I lost money. Igbo people, they could shoot me. If I die, take care of the police or something. The only thing is that I didn't eat his money. Everything is there. But they let me brace up and go instead of dodging. So I went. I met him. I was really distant. I was looking at him. After all said and done, I went home safely that day. And later he told me we could be friends. Let us give it 6 months or what and think of what to do. But he believed in me. He gave me a second chance. He brought another money and said, okay, maybe we made mistakes and all that. And it didn't take up to 6 months. We made money that covered his initial losses. And I asked him, write me a mail to tell me that I'm not owing you anymore. That was my old business. I now trusted the system so much. From there, we are still working, but now we are almost $80 million business. We are like this. So that's the way it is. So when a system supports you without even knowing you, they identify you as skilled. A lot of us are skillful. It's not like in Nigeria, they're saying security or whatever. People here are very, very vibrant. Why is it that when Nigerians go out there, they become the success story? But here, the legal the framework for you to survive is bad, is hard. That's the reason. So that's actually the reason why I said I just went to top up and I now found love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know you guys don't want me to stop him, but I want to stop him. I should stop him, right? Okay, hold on now. I'm so fascinated by your story because it brought a practical answer to the questions, right? One, preparing before you leave. Two, why do people leave? As I said, you had all an establishment to make, but you have identified that enabling environment that is not here. And each time we say about it, people talk is rhetoric. And you have heard it now that it is true that when there is no enabling environment, no matter what you have, somebody will say if you spend that 10 million to travel, you can still use it to survive in Nigeria. But the fact is not that the 10 million cannot survive, but there is no environment for the 10 million to survive. Yeah. That is why we are happy that you are sharing this story, and also that when people notice that Nigerians are not really thieves as they think. If somebody could trust you without seeing you, knowing that there are so many other Nigerians they say, don't see, but they still do something. And you see that. So we have hope. And also we have dignity on our own. Don't worry, I'll get back to you again. But let's keep it here. Now, before I get to them for the last, I want to get a feeling from the group. Would there be anything you have heard from this person or something you want to hear from them that you want to make known so that we can pick 2 or 3 inputs from the floor? 1, 2. We have 1, 2. Please, can we have the mic move around? Titles? So, okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Charles, 1. You can have this. Thank you. After Mr. Charles, then we take the mic to Mr. Akko, and then we have 1 from the other side. Okay, 3.
Thank you, the moderator, and thank you, the very able panelists. First of all, it is important to remind ourselves why we are here. What is the essence of the dialogue, migration dialogue in Nigeria? What is the focus? The focus is not just to come and share beautiful stories and tell us migration is this, we thank these people, we appreciate these people. It is about interrogating our work, interrogating our migration dynamics, and how do we move it forward. And that is why I'm excited with the last speaker from the experience he shared, because you were interrogating things that make us move and things that make us to move wrongly or rightly. And why is it difficult here? And that takes my question now, or maybe a comment that she may relate to the Open University. I heard you about you organizing trainings for the returnees and all those. I should think that our purpose of bringing the academia into the migration management or governance structure is for them to provide that aspect that is missing from the operations. And that aspect is the issue of research. We want to see more of research on what is happening, what is going forward. We have a national migration policy. We want to see the academia interrogate that policy and see the lapses, so that by the time we are going into the review, we'll be getting input from the academia that this is the way forward. And I believe that you know that we have migration policy. We are expecting that in this room now, maybe after this, you may just dive into it because I trust the academics. We begin to tell us that this policy you have has flaws here. And because it is like this, it means it is not clear where we are going to. What is the intention of the Open University in interrogating our policies and migration policies in Nigeria? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's hear from him. And I want to request, please, for other speakers, let's try to keep it to maximum of 1 minute, just for our sake.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity, Dr. Biazu, and the panelists. Yeah, what I want to say is it's a ripple from what the first speaker said. Now, I think we have policies, like I said yesterday. Why this policy is very, very rich and very all-encompassing, why to me it's not working the way it should, and we think there's no policy because of One, the sensitization is not enough to allow people to know there is a policy on ground. That's one. Then from what Ademo said about preparing, then of course, there's a platform for preparing this migrant, which I don't want to start itemizing, everybody knows it. But do the would-be migrant know about this platform? That's another one. Then two, because you cannot stop changes in civil service. People retire, people are promoted, people are transferred, people go on secondment. So you see new faces every day. You cannot stop it. But what about the succession plan? To allow the newcomer know what is happening in the migration space before the person comes for meeting and not expose ignorance. Then two, before I'm rounding up now, which is the most important, spanning from what the person from diaspora said, I got interested because the awareness and perception of potential and return migrants on the dangers of regular migrations was a brainchild of a meeting, a national migration dialogue held in 2018. I was seated in one of the halls in Shewa Center, and I got interested when Mr. Charles and they say, why are they leaving? And they don't keep stopping. And the idea came, we should carry out a study to do this. And we chose 4 states, Edo, Delta, Lagos, and Imo. It was shocking. I used to think it's illiterate people that travel, but I was shocked that of the data that come, Imo State is the most educated, within degrees, PhDs, that's leading other 4 states for traveling out, even irregular, because it was from irregular migration. Even with their PhDs, they are traveling out. So what I'm trying to say now is, please, and thirdly, before I forget, I almost forgot this, very, very important. Each time we channel data from what Paul said yesterday, I agree with him, because even this study carried out, there's no zonal sensitization workshop to talk to the state affected. This is what is coming out from your state. You understand? Because there's no fund, the thing just died like that. You know, Edo Delta, Lagos, not even the governors, those policymakers are not even aware, something like that. So because there's no zonal sensitization workshop, be for a day, call them and tell them this is the data coming from your state. So some of them will tell you, they come at the forum like this and tell you there's no data. Well, but there's data. There's enough data. If you look at the annual report from immigration, there's enough data there.
Thank you.
Do we have my zonal sensitization workshop? I have more to say, but please, because of time, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Akko, for those important points. We had a hand there. Sorry, not you, sir. The woman behind you. Again, please, if we do the justice of keeping to 1 minute, we will get more persons. And we keep stories aside and tell the question or what. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My question is, how do you create long or short-term opportunities to help current manpower shortages via scarcity of manpower to solve their own problem while helping to collaborate with the Nigerian government stroke citizens to provide opportunities to its populated and highly skilled individuals? My name is Ademola. Thank you.
Sorry, they want you to say that again. Can you just read that again? Stay on the question. Just read it again as you asked. Okay. How do you create short-term or long-term?
Create short or long-term opportunities to help current manpower shortages, stroke scarcity of manpower, to solve their own problems while helping to collaborate with Nigerian government or citizens to provide opportunities to its populated and highly skilled individuals. Thank you. That's my question.
Okay. I don't know if I will reframe that question for you. If we could reframe that from the context, which goes back to enabling environment. In other words, how do you create, how do people create that opportunity that could employ others? And again, how would that opportunity, how would that intention to create that be supported by the government, whom you are helping to help? So who creates and what does the government do to help sustain that creation? Let's take one more and then we'll come back for the next round. I'm keeping this panel to the 12. Yes, take please question, and then 1 minute.
Question. Okay, question. Hey, thank you so much. My name is Ngozi from Lagos. My brother's experience is great. Why did you ask him why he moved? And he explained, you know, you see that he's moving there and benefited the country where he went to and also benefited him, and he came back. My question is, why are our people suffering because they want to go and top up, according to our brother, that will benefit both countries? And again, that's one. Then my brother said something about states that are affected. I think if we use scorecards will go a long way. Like what he said, he said that you don't need to organize zonal meetings for you to show the state. If we have scorecards with data, see. We used it in Lagos Ministry of Health, and it worked because even the commissioner was surprised that this number of pregnant women were not assessing, going for antenatal and all that. So if we develop that scorecard with red, yellow, and green, it will go a long way. You only need to give those in power, those in government, those that need it. When they look at it, we will not know whether they will cover their faces in shame or sit down for us to take action. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me return. Can I have the mic back, please? Let me return to the panelists. I will give everybody on this panel 30 seconds to respond, so you don't have to answer everything. From what you heard, you could just pick one and make 30 seconds and interjection in it. There's a question directly for Open University, which is a research plan. There is issue of sensitization/capacity building, but I added one to that, capacity retention in offices where we train people and either they leave. So what do we do to retain capacity so that we don't always lack? And then you have issue of creating job opportunity and favorable environment, and also disseminating, that is important, disseminating research outcomes to the states or wherever they are, the research was carried out for policy implementation or policy formulation. So please, I will start with you at DMO.
Thank you. I think I want to summarize everything into just these 3 or 4 points. There's a need for adequate sensitization.
What do you mean by adequate sensitization? Because I'm also beginning to get lethargy on sensitization. Anytime you hear sensitization, what is the most adequate and effective way of sensitizing that we would, at the end of the day, get a reaction, a report of change?
There's a need to put proper information across to the people using proper channel. For example, there's a need to get the public. You have different stages of migration. The early stage, when you are when you are more thinking of whether traveling is the solution to your problem.
Don't feel so relaxed because you have 30 seconds.
Thank you. The stage where you have decided that you need to go. There's a need to really target, proper information to citizens at these various stages of their migration. That will enable them, help them to make up their mind, decide, I would say, decide on whether to go or not to go. So there's a need to get proper information, the right information, and using the right channel to get across to them. There's the need for, my brother talked about need for succession plan, very, very fundamental. And that's why most programs fail, because you discover at the end of the day, in fact, most government programs fail when there's no continuity in our plans, in our programs and projects. So there's a need to really government to put in place proper succession program so that whatever program they have will have continuity.
Okay.
Then enabling environment needs to be created. Very, very fundamental. And government has a big role to play in this situation.
Do you have one point on how to create enabling environment? One, on the issue of that opportunity to create jobs. Is there anything that could be done?
Quite a lot of things can be done.
Okay, when you remember, you tell me.
Yeah, quite a lot of things can be done.
Okay, let's hear from Madam. Direct question to Open University. Okay. What is the research plan for Open University? So sensitization is taken out of your list.
Yes.
Yes.
I want to thank the person that reminded me that we are supposed to be involved in research, because definitely research and training is a core. They are core for a university system. So that I did not say we will do research doesn't mean that we are not doing research. We are doing research already and we'll continue to do more, but maybe not yet on policies. And I want to also point out here that research on policies of migration is not left alone to National Open University of Nigeria. It's for all of us. It's going to be a collaborative research because these policies are there, then they are to be implemented. Of course, the researcher will come and see how far they are implemented. And of course, a good research, a big time research, a research that will make real sense also needs a lot of funding. You need funding for research. And that is where the academia seems to be in trouble most of the time, getting sponsors or funders for research. Because a research that we cover our country, Nigeria, to see how these things are going. It's not just one institution or one region. Go around these geopolitical zones and see how these things are faring. It's a big time research and we need funding. So definitely we are looking at research already, like my own center. We are very much involved in research, perhaps not yet a big time research. That is the next angle to look into. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I take you up on that. And I think the person who raised that question took you up on that. That we hope that after today, we'll be seeing, if not end product, the process of research specific to this migration issue. So we would want to work with any policy program. We want to see something that is based on scientific verified data that comes from raw research, which academic is known for. Thank you, Ma, for saying you guys are doing that. Now, let me go. I would prefer to talk to NCFMI the last, but let me take up Emeka again. There are so many issues that have come up here in terms of, yes, that enabling manpower. And I'm very interested if you can really tell us from your experience as a businessman here and from your experience of there, what one example of legal framework do you think we need to advocate as migration actors in Nigeria for our government to create or put in place that would create that enabling environment for people to do business and actually grow here? Would you engage in that. And she still asked why people are still living. If you can still talk that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. As a businessman, you know, all this talk, this and that. You know, money, people is like flood. People follow money, they chase money. In our language, they say they chase yield. Everybody chases yield. So when you are getting policy, maybe wrong information, people from abroad say, hey, this is a place of milk and honey. I know that a lot of us are suffering here, a lot of people, more than 98% are suffering. But they still fund many things here. They still pay school fees of their relations and build houses, invest a lot and that. So people see these practical things. Somebody, whether they do anything before, small time, don't send motor. You understand? So that is the attraction and all that. Then in terms of enabling environment, it is not really about maybe government policy. It's like what I talk about sometimes in religion. The most religion to me is just being your brother's keeper. So when the behavior, that is the way we behave, corruption. You know, it's only in Nigeria they say Igbo, Fulani, Yoruba, whatever. But when they want to share money, Igbo man go to sleep for Fulani man bed for Sokoto. You go call him my brother. You understand? So this is the most important thing. You know, like what I said, I saw a new environment because from time I had not been able to, I don't like to pay bribe. I really hate it because somebody would just say, pay me money for what? So that is the thing. So when we are talking about enabling environment, the legal framework is the business, maybe if they can have bill or law for businesses, where if you say you are paying in 30 days, you must pay. And if you don't pay, you have responsibility for that. That's all. You know, when people are sure of the why is corruption? Corruption is because people are not sure of the next distance. So those are the. It's not about telling them about this policy or not policy. People, there is no place like home. All of us must come home. Either if you like, if you die, then go burn you there. Or you must come home. This is our natural habitat. Most of the things we have to pull it back home. So everybody actually loves their own habitat. But the most important thing is, can you survive? That's enabling environment. It's not government just this thing. It's for people to behave properly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think I take that away from you, especially in the case of a system that works. I know, like you're talking about debt. I know there are countries where if I owe somebody, even telephone bill, and you don't pay when you're supposed to pay, it goes to a system that checks you, not the telephone company. And if you don't still pay, they put you on bankruptcy, and then you can't do business anymore. So things of that nature did not come from somewhere. It's people wanting to make others have confidence in doing what they are doing. So it may not even be too much of something we are talking about. But there's something we have been thinking through, which I might want to ask you also, in terms of reintegration. There are so many people who are coming back and we are providing them reintegration package. And after packages like training them, opening shops for them, and after a little while, they go back. They will go back through irregular means. So we are asking, is there anything business people can do to help us in managing reintegration, either create employment? Would there be something you'll be asking government? Like, if you give me a tax haven, I will employ 20 people like you want to do or you have to do. or you are doing in your company here in Nigeria? Would that be possible?
Yeah, there are a lot of things basically government could do, like out there now, you expect a parent to use their money to pay school fees, university for training of their distance. There, you borrow money. They give you money as an entitlement. If you pass your JAMB or whatever, the government pays your university education. Okay? Then government is investing in the person. We are not fools. So when you are invested in, then you can give back to society. People say, okay, where will you get the money to pay? I've done I'm into statistics, all these things. 30% of constituency allowance to all these legislators, we pay every 1 million students school fees, 1 million naira per year, comfortably. So when I'm saying the enabling environment, some people come in here, they are trained as barbers, all those things. It's mania. The most important thing is to create that environment where they can have confidence in the system. And one of them, like I suggested, is like maybe education, because there's no resource more than human resource. And human resource can only be enhanced by education. There is no other thing. And if government can have a policy of undertaking training, educational training for their people, their youth or whatever, Nigeria will change. Yeah.
So much. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. These are practical things we are talking about, not theory from anything. And I hope our rapporteurs on those tables are gathering these points so that the outcome of this dialogue would be what we propose. Alex, this eventually comes back to your table because both the discussions, decisions, thoughts, and all these things are what you are expected to work on. The issues of sensitization, capacity building, retention, continued dissemination of information. And I know at CSO Day yesterday, they came up with the resolution of localizing migration management to such a way that states have ownership and responsibility. And they suggested practically NCFRMI desk offices in almost all the state house or governments. So I don't know how you want to respond to all these questions from that point of view of the responsibility or mandate of NCFRMI as coordinator of migration. In 30 seconds, okay, 1 minute.
Okay, thank you very much. I think to basically touch on everything, one very important issue is the issue of funding. That is one of the challenges that I think has hampered the effectiveness of the commission. And I think, because when we look at most of our migration programs, they are mostly donor sponsored. So I think one of the things that we can take away from this, and probably the CSO partners can help to advocate for, is for the mainstreaming of migration management issues into the national budget, so that we don't have to start looking for funding when it's time to implement issues with regards to migration. If there's already a fund available, NCFRMI will be able to play its role, NDE, all the various stakeholders that have, responsibilities, MBS, MPC, and all of them will be able to play their roles. The issue of sensitization, the issue of, decentralization of the national migration policy to the state level so that, state actors are aware and able to perform their roles will not be an issue. So I think funding is key, and it's something that we can look into.
Yes, funding has become a popular mantra within our space, and we have not found answer to that because we keep asking MDS, mainstream migration, into your MDA budget, but we have not come after 1 year to say this year we were able to get this amount. So I think we are, like somebody said, a scorecard has to be put in place to be able to say have we been able to, like next quarterly meeting of TWG, we should be asking each MDS to tell us how much they got this year's budget as part of the outcome of this kind of push we are doing. I promised I was going to come back and take one more. There was a sister up there who wants a question. Are you still interested? No, I'm asking, are you still interested to ask your question? Okay, then I have you one. I have you two. And no, I don't think I'm going to take, maybe three of you will talk to each other and tell one person to ask. Okay, I'm going to take a copper for sure. I'm going to take a copper for sure. So that copper takes care of this side. Okay, no worry. That copper takes care of that. You can write your own and send to me. And then madam and the sister up there. So I start with you, the nun. Please remember, at this time, I'm not giving you 1 minute. I'm giving you 30 seconds. Your question or comment should be 30 seconds. After that, 30 seconds, please.
Okay, thank you very much. My question still boils on the issue of adequate preparation for the migrants. He tried to address it kind of, but I'm still concerned because when you think of the migrants, we are looking at different stages. There are those who migrate illegally and those who do it legally. So my concern is, when we think in this slide, at what level are we thinking of this preparation for such migrants?
Okay, thank you. That's a short question. Then herself, after that, we'll ask, yes, if there's a question for you, answer, madam. If not, you can take the stage of madam. If there's a question for you, you answer. If not, we can allow you to. Okay.
Thank you very much. Mine is just a contribution.
Okay.
During the first session, I think Mr. Charles raised an observation why he challenged the panelists from the Open University regarding the national migration policy. If in terms of review, he talked about the migration policy that was formulated in 2015, which ideally is due for review. And he asked her what they are doing in regards to that. I just want to add that when a policy is being formulated, it is expected that the end users should also, that it's meant for the end user, which the civil societies are critical stakeholders. I think in order to achieve that, when it comes to review, the civil society organizations seated here also need to play a role. So there's a need for them to also study this migration policy, identify gaps that needs to be improved, so that when it comes to the review, they present it. So it shouldn't be left for the academia alone. They also have critical role to play.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. The young copper, are you still asking a question? You've changed your mind. Contribution, 30 seconds. Okay, ma'am. Do you want to wait for that, or do you want to leave, Prof? Doctor?
Good afternoon, everyone. My contribution is based on what, I can't remember his name. This Marogan Ash here, second from this side. When he was talking about people who travel and the next thing you see is they're sending cars and whatever to Nigeria back to their people. Now, I think there is one place where I'm missing it, which is the media place. Majority of what we see in our Nollywood movies and everything are not real. So I think there should be a policy, a censor board concerning what we see on social medias generally. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. We have engaged in, we have actually engaged in media intersection and migration issue, and that program is going. Now, I would ask, thank you. We have another panel, don't worry. We'll get back to you. So, madam, if you have one word that you are dropping for us, you could drop that and then we take a leave.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just want to thank the lady who seemed to have agreed with me that migration policy research is supposed to be collaborative. I mean, she's just buttressing what I said, that it's not only for National Open University of Nigeria. So we need to form a team, come around and look into it. Of course, National Open University of Nigeria should be part of that team. That is the word I'm leaving for us, that we should come together and decide how we're going to look at this and involve National Open University of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Sorry, madam, that's a recommendation somebody is putting on the table for you.
Yes.
It's asking you, because you talked about funding for research.
Yes.
It's asking you whether you have taken advantage of National Research Funds. Have you explored that?
We have tried so many, but if that person has a way for us to get faster there, I want to know the person or get in touch. Okay. And I'm sure Father will give the person my contact. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. You can leave the microphone. Now, everybody here has, ma'am, thank you. I know you are pressed by time. You could go. So please, can you give Dr. Gloria Aneto a good round as she takes off the stage? Now, the question is still left, especially I think it's for you, at the stages of the preparation. But I will want you to use it as a final contribution to the panel. If there's any other thing apart from that, please keep to 30 seconds, the final word as you respond to that.
You see, the information you give at the early stage of migration is different from the what you give at the tail end, when the fellow has already made up his mind, or the fellow has even gotten a job. At the early stage, you give general information, while at the tail end, you give just specific and country-specific information. These are things that the migrant needs to know. The general information will help him to be able to make up his mind or her mind on whether to go or not to go, which country to go, which country not to go. But after the fellow has already made up his or her mind, is that you now come to just specific, country-specific, to be able to prepare the fellow for life at the other end. Thank you.
Let's go back to our colleague and friend from the UK. Of course, I believe, or I hope I know that you have not returned, because somebody just said you have returned. You've gone, you came back, you returned. But you are kind of saying that you juggle between that. So I would want you to tell us what you are giving us as a gift. What is your gift to this process? What we can do better from your own point of view that will make us as government engage you more to participate with us in our migration issues?
In what sense?
Like in sense of how do we engage the private sector that you could help reduce migration pressure, and also maybe he talked about funds. Our major problem is funds to fund our programs. Can we, partnering with you, help the government get such support?
The most important thing, like I said, is that anybody that goes to anywhere wants to come back home and invest, as we all do. So that's the most important thing. If it's not even a matter of partnership, it's a matter of law, it's a matter of getting the system in place so that you can, money from diaspora will come back here and develop our society. And, just show an example on our people. For, I told you I was doing a project, I'm doing a project somewhere. I go there with my shorts, and most of them thought I'm one of these engineers and all that. So I was working with even young people. Some of them as young as my son. They couldn't even speak English, all these things. They hadn't been to school at all. You understand? I eat with them, I listen. I pity, what is going on. So it's not a matter of this, because most of us want to invest. We want to bring what we have learned: discipline, honesty, order, responsibility. Most of us are willing to do it, to create jobs. We love Nigeria. Everybody loves Nigeria, no matter what. So that's the aspect. It's not good over there. It's not your home. It's not your place. That's all. Yeah.
I think that is the truth. That no matter how favorable it looks there, it's not your home, and people will still want to come back home. And what I'm taking away from you, from what you just said, is without doing a very private partnership, that if we still have a structure that enables a private sector to do their business well, whether from within or from outside, the recurring profits of that business would also feed into the system, like if they pay their taxes. Okay, so thank you for that. The last person that has a word here is the NCFRMI. 30 seconds, your final word.
Final word in general.
Yes.
Okay. I think a lot has already been said. One of the key things that I would like us to know is that government is open for collaboration, really, even with the private sector. I think NCFRMI has already begun to engage in some partnerships with some of the organized private sector. I know that Innocent Motors is already doing something with the commission with regards to reintegrating our POCs, persons of concern. So I believe that we're trying as much as possible to open up and collaborate as much as possible. So with regards to CSOs and the private sector, the commission is open for collaboration and working together. So I think that will be my last word.
Thank you, everyone on this panel. I thank you, Ademo, thank you, Emeka, and thank you, Alex and Gloria, who had just left. We're sorry we kept you beyond your time, especially those who are seriously pressed on time. But please, it's a pleasure having you. I know that we call back on you sometime. You could just now stand and then leave the stage, if it pleases you. Thank you. Yes, before, I think I would need us to just, I wish I have tea and coffee around. I would just ask you to stand up and take a tea walk. But there's no tea nor coffee in this hall. I don't even know how much water we have around. But let's do 1 minute health break. 1 minute health break by standing up on your seat, if you don't mind. We have been sitting for a while. The doctors recommend we do that. 1 minute health break. Do anything you want to do that makes body circulate very well in just 1 minute. There was a lady down there that had a comment, and I want to pick her comment before we start the next session. So if she stay there, okay, just be ready to give her that comment as opening. And those who are going to be in second and third panel, which I have been mixing up, be ready to come up to the stage. So can we begin to invite to the stage Ahmed Sufi? Can we begin to invite to the stage Ahmed Sufi? If you are here, please make your way to the stage. Also, if we have here representative of IOM, Dr. Adaban K. Ogun, please find your way to the stage. If you are here, please clap for her as she walks up to the. And also, we are calling from the civil society organizations, the chair of the 2021 Civil Society Day, Miss Mary or Satu Binosun to please find their way to the stage. We are inviting also to the stage we're inviting Mr. Charles Anello from the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, the Supervising Agency of Migration Governance in Nigeria. Please, your hand for him. And we cannot hold this stage without calling the owner of the program, the NCFRMI. And so we have the pleasure to invite the assistant, is it assistant or deputy director? Of R&M, Titus Mordecai, the acting deputy director of R&M, that is Refugee and Migration, of National Commission for Refugee, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons. Please, is Mr. or Alhaji Ahmed Sufi, so please, if you are here, you could join us at the podium. Okay. Now, this group are going to be responding to everything we have heard here in terms of helping us hold together the way forward. What we hope to see. Many of us here, we are tired of rhetoric. We want to see actions, suggest something, suggest how it should be done, and suggest who will do it. If you like, give a timeline to it. So I would, I pledged that I was going to ask the woman who was wanting to ask a question and make a contribution. If she said, please, can you have the microphone and make a contribution? Can somebody get the microphone to her? Madam, yeah, the microphone is coming to you. Again, tell Ahmed Sufi anytime he is in, he could come to the stage. He's already introduced. Yes, ma'am. Please give us a contribution on what you wanted to say so that we can hold it together. Thank you, Ahmed Sufi. We welcome you to the stage. Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity to speak. My name is Dr. Genevieve Mordi. I'm the SSA to His Excellency Senator Dr. Kowa on International Affairs. There was something one of the panelists said, that when you go abroad, the government pays your fees. Please, there is nothing like that. I felt I had to debunk this because I have a lot of youths who want to travel abroad because they think when they get there that the government is going to pay. No one is going to pay your school fees. They only give you a loan which you pay back on graduation. As a doctor, the loan is up to $250,000. And once time to pay that loan kicks in, whether you're working or you're not working, you will pay that loan. And if they want that loan and you have a house, they can take your house. So please, I want to debunk that story that when you get abroad, that you're going to get free education. It doesn't happen. Okay. Then another thing I want to debunk, our panelist is a very, very, very lucky person to have someone to invest in him as an individual, invest 500,000 as an individual. I lived 3 decades in the United States. I came back just because of migration. His Excellency brought me back. You hardly, it is rare that you find a human, an American or someone abroad that will invest 500,000 on an individual. When they want to invest that kind of money with you, you must be attached to a very big stockbroker company. I'm not even talking of baby companies. I'm talking of stockbroker companies that are over 100 years. So please, I'm saying this to disabuse the mind of some youths here that may think, oh, if I become a stockbroker, someone is going to invest in me. 99% it will never happen. Like I said, our panelist is very lucky. I'm trying to use this medium to stop youths to not to travel based on this kind of, impression. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I also want to put it in perspective. I hope any other person had it right. Our panelists did not say that if you go outside, they give you more for school. He used that word loan. He said there is a system where you can borrow, but we don't have that system here. That's what he said. And also, just like you said, he was lucky, but we emphasize that even though we hear that things are always wrong with Nigerians, but Nigerians can also have opportunity. We are not debunking that. Opportunities are there, realities are there. It exists everywhere. What we want to see is holding that two narratives together. I think that is important, right? Yeah, it's important that we hold it together. It's not using one story to kill the other. So my colleagues, thank you. And thank you for being patient with us and listening to this. Hello, are we together? There is some distraction going on there that is actually interfacing with what we are doing. Thank you. Thank you. Please, you can actually do your businesses quietly without distracting those who are interested in the process. Thank you. I want to get us here as quick as we can. Now, let me go to Ahmed, sir. We have been engaging in how the private sector could help us manage migration. And I want to bring you, the stage we are now is way forward. What can we do? How can we realize that private partnership with government for migration purposes? Is there anything you can put for us on the ground as a proposal? If we do this, private sector will come in. Thank you. And then everybody has a 3-minute first interjection. You have 3 minutes, then we can come back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think if there is anything that I needed to add from what many others have said is taking a pattern, because most of our thoughts have been on migration to Europe or the North America. But I realize that there is a large chunk of a need for migration of labor from countries that are in Africa to the Middle East, where the population is very scanty and the opportunities there are there so much. And I think we have been interacting with these countries for a long time, but we have not been taking advantage of organized migration of our people to these countries to take advantage of the economic opportunities that are there. For instance, you go to Dubai, there are quite a number of hired labor who are coming through an organized labor, through a licensing regime, of which our private sector can obtain the licensing from this government, which will enable them to come and pick legally people who are interested in working in these countries to go and work in Dubai, to go and work in Qatar, to go and work in Saudi Arabia. These people needed the human element in the exploitation of their economies. Most of these countries are having populations which are 1 million, 2 million, maximum 5 million. With our large population of over 200 million, we have a lot of things which we can contribute in making their economy, and they too also giving us much of what we can take. There are places like Kerala. If you go to Dubai or you go to Saudi Arabia, every single Indian that you see, if you ask him, where are you from? Is from Kerala. Kerala is one of the most depressed at some point of states in India, but now probably is running as one of the fastest growing economy in India, simply because of the migrant labor that has been there and repatriating whatever they are earning. And I just realized that Ethiopia and Kenya have taken the leap. The private sector now is organizing and is getting the support of government for consular and other support services to also get the licensing to employ Nigerians. Legally, those who are interested, they go to these countries and also get a labor force to work there. And whatever they earn, they repatriate. I think these are part of the thing which I think is a good contribution. Certainly, there are other things, but we ought to realize that this is a big business venture, which we can come up a lot of thinking if it's put in this thing, both ways. The high labor and the businesses who are there are likely to make a lot of economic gains from this endeavor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. I hear that very well in terms of our private sector organizing labor migration from Nigeria to other countries aside from the continents of Europe and North America to new migration havens in terms of where work are now. I know there's within the Nigerian Labor Ministry of Labor and within migration decks, there is this space where they could also provide opportunity for recruiters to recruit people. And we're having challenges sometimes with the modalities of this recruitment and the recruiters playing to the book as according to what they sign. So how do we ensure that creating an opportunity for private sector to do this business the way you talk it would actually not revolve around to bad recruitment?
You see, we are not reinventing the wheel.
Yes.
Many countries are there. They have already done it over years. I've just told you that Kenya and Ethiopia have just gotten in. And there is no difficulties, even our foreign missions contacting these countries to get how they do their own. And we have to learn from it. And whatever the pitfalls that they went through in their own processes, we can now bypass it, having learned from their own experiences. So all it requires now is government to now expose this thing so that the private sector understand that they can do this and these are the modalities. And then probably we can even create an expo where people who are interested to come and learn from these processes. A lot of people are having money stuck in banks and they are not utilizing them in the best of ways. And this is an area where if you invest, you will get the fruits of your investment and you will help a lot of people who do not know how to do that. And I think through that, the Nigerian economy will be boosted by doing this process. So I will put it on government to really come and expose how this market runs, particularly Minister of Trade, Minister of Labor. They can come and work with Chamber of Commerce of different countries to educate people on how they can go, both in terms of the drive, and they could also send our people to go and learn how this process is done. Once it's done, I think people are, Nigerians are very aggressive and they learn quick. They can come and dominate this environment.
Okay.
I think it is something that we can do and can do well.
You. Thank you, sir. Yeah, yesterday the civil society organizations gathered together to re-strategize on sustainability of migration programs in Nigeria. In other words, what I understand from that is that you want to see that all the good things that are put in place are sustained and that sustainability translates into national development and better management of migration. So we want to ask you, the civil society chair, your 10-point action plan for migration sustainability in Nigeria. Was it an utopic desire, or do you people actually see them as something doable, and what are your strategies of seeing that these things are done? Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. First, I would like to say that if there's anything I observed clearly from yesterday and today, is collaboration in its highest peak. Everybody coming together to discuss the same thing, from the east, west, north, south, together to talk about how these programs we have been implementing over the years can be sustained. Like I emphasized yesterday, what's the essence of an activity without it being sustained? Like I said, I may be a young person, I may not have seen collaboration like this, but I'm sure yesterday's own was remarkable. And earlier, as we heard from NCFRMI representative from Southwest, he mentioned that issues of budgetary allocation is something for them that CSOs can help advocate. This is again the government calling on CSOs, that's collaboration. So what we came together yesterday to do is not something that cannot be achieved. We sat together as CSOs. We have the experiences to know what it is, where the loophole is in these places. We brought out strategies to cover these loopholes just so that we can have the best that we desire. So these are achievable. But the only way this can be achievable is why I started with collaboration. We are just like the broomstick, the parable of the broomstick, that one broom may sweep well, but it will break. But when all of us come together, it would work faster and better. So the main thing there that we can achieve these 10 strategies we brought out here, this is a strategy that was developed by CSOs, because we know we cannot achieve these things that here as the government that can do it. So this is us meeting the government, and the government also needing us to collaborate. That's why the last line here is that CSOs will continually maximize their effort to support government in actualizing the goals. Yes, sir.
Thank you. You talked about collaboration, and I think one other dimension of collaboration Nigerian migration governance has enjoyed very well is the collaboration with international agencies and partners, not just for money, but for technical support. And the chief or key in this direction is International Organization for Migration. So I want to ask you, Doctor, having journeyed with migration governance all this while, done projects, supervised programs, conducted capacity buildings, what do you see going forward from here that is actually different from what you have been doing, that you think if we do it, it will add to what you have been doing and it will ensure for sustainability of what you have labored to do already?
So I would want to first say what was seen in the all today. Now, the National Migration Policy 2015 recognizes 3 levels of governance and framework in Nigeria. And then with the first level, we're talking about the interministerial level. Now, why am I bringing this up in this question? If we must seek and see the change we need, we must involve that level of governance. Now we started this program, and then the chief executives, the representative of the ministers, the highest ranking officers who are able to make decisions and not on seats. Now I see this is going to be what we'll do again next year, because this is what we did last year. We'll end up saying the same issues. As IOM, we have supported in building technical partnership, collaboration. We have the diaspora policy, labor policy, SOP. Trust me, in Nigeria, we have frameworks. We have policies to support what we do. But one, if we do not have the political will, if we do not involve that level of governance, for example, if at the end of this program, we develop what the reports, the policy makers, the highest ranking officers at that level do not see what we're doing. One, we're going to have issues on one, sustainability. 2, management of programs in Nigeria. 3, data. Now, I know people will say, yes, they're not going to talk about data. Yes. Now, in Nigeria, we have the National Migration Policy database. The database man is, we have all the MDAs working on migration, be trained on the use of the database. with the databases available. Now we do not have data. Why don't we have data? Now we ask, if you ask each of the MDAs generating data, you see the internal procedures, bureaucracy in generating this data. And then maybe the technical officer or the junior officer who are actually the people who produce this administrative data. One, just like someone mentioned earlier, we have data in Nigeria. The problem is not that we do not have data. We have. But the problem in terms of this availability of this data and the way forward is that those who are working on the data do not want to release data for different reasons. Now, if we do not engage that level of governance, if we still put the work we do at the level of the technical working group, which is also recognized by the policy, we'll end up going, meaning we're going from bottom up. But if we address issues, we're having activities, I'm saying way forward. What we've done so far basically is to involve everyday person, the technical officers, they change them, we move another one, we keep training them. But if we do not involve people at that level, one, we're going to have issues on not being able to sustain programs. Two, data demand, data use, data analysis. If we do not have academians, researchers, call for data. Three, civil society organizations. If we decide at IOM and say, oh, we're not doing this, if the government are saying they're not going to do this, the CSOs, I'm happy this year's National Migration Dialogue is probably taking a new turn. Involvement of CSOs. I want to use this opportunity to encourage all this. Please come together first. The voice. So these are the way forward, things that we can do. So I would want to allow others, maybe when I come, I have like 4 more points, but let me just stop at these 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Those are, you know, when you said that, I also said, yes, we fared again this year. Yeah, I've already checked that one off. We fared again this year because last year, or many times, especially at the technical working group, we have been talking about how do we get that interministerial communication going on. And you have raised it, and it is like the first panel said, the reshufflement happening in departments, which sometimes is allowed by the system, but also sometimes are not done smartly or critically, impact us. And this can be handled by that level. And this year, again, like they usually do, they come to grace the occasion and we allow them go, and we go back to talk to ourselves again. I guess maybe we'll put this in the parking lot and hope to use that for planning next dialogue, or even beyond that. I think developing program, okay, we're gonna go to NCFRM. You have to do something within this period that engages that group that you talk about, which I've identified. Thank you for highlighting that. That takes us to the man who wears the shoes, NCFRMI. Everything that has been said here, this conversation has been all about you in terms of what you put on the table. Now, what have you heard from all that has been said that you think in your own thought processing you will take seriously as what you as a commission will be adopting or doing to ensure that the way forward is towards sustainability? Thank you, Mr. Titus.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Moderator. And I want to thank the plenary session. Since yesterday, this dialogue has been ongoing. We have watched some video clips, and there are a lot of suggestions, recommendations, and today we have come to the end of the session. I, on behalf of the Honorable Federal Commissioner, would like to thank each and every one of us here for the valuable contribution, for the valuable recommendation you have made so far. I just want to say that the migration governance in Nigeria is all about the whole of society and the whole of the government. National Commission for Refugees alone cannot do it. NAPTIP alone cannot do this work. Nigerian Immigration Service alone cannot do this work. IOM alone cannot do this work. Our sister agencies, Federal Ministry of Labor alone cannot do this work. US government cannot do it. EU cannot do it alone. Swiss government cannot do it alone. Just as we have all emphasized, is all about synergy, is all about collaboration. And I assure you that you have sent it as at yesterday. Yesterday was CSO's day, and the beginning has come. The federal government is open to full participation of private sectors, of civil society organization in the country. The game now is for us to put all our hands together and push forward. And I assure you that from today, from this year, except we are playing to the involve personal interests. If we put personal interests aside and we embrace national interests, patriotism, there is going to be a different game in migration governance in Nigeria. I've heard a few people talking about impediments, challenges. Yes, I really want to also suggest that our youths who are yearning to see how they can move forward in Nigeria, that we're advising them to stay and to do business. I can tell you that doing business in Nigeria is very frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. You start a company, you see all these agencies, Abuja Environmental will come with their rules. You see AMAC, they will come with this one, Fire Service will come with this, a young company that has just started. How will it grow? And before you know it, 1 year, 2 years, that company is crumbled. So for a young guy, how will he stay and to control himself to say he wants to do business in Nigeria? I would suggest that the government of Nigeria, we have to deliberately create what we call tax holidays for these young companies that are coming up. Give them 3 years or 5 years, tax holidays. Let them operate. All these our regulatory agencies that are causing disruption. Let this young company, let them be stable. Once they are stabilized, you can come up with these regulations and taxes. They will pay. So this is what I can suggest to us in this house, that way forward, we are ready. Like other speakers said here, National Commission for Refugees began a process with private sectors. Notable one among them is this Innocent Motors that my Honorable Federal Commissioner stated here. Brought the man, I have never seen him before. When I met that man, I couldn't believe when they said this is the proprietor of Innocent Motors. When you see the motors that are in this country, I saw him, the man is so humble, very, very humble a man. And he has entered into a serious partnership with the commission that is going to train Nigerians, IDPs, refugees, and automobile
business. He's going to train the first 100 persons of concern for 1 year. He is going to give them free accommodation, free feeding for good 1 year to train them. And he said that he can assure us that by the time this 1 year is concluded, these people that he's going to train, they will become employer of labor in Nigeria. And he said again that after 1 year, he's going to commence for another 100 individuals that he's going to train. We try our best to invite him to be among our panel here today. It's like maybe he's out of the country, his phone was not reachable. Otherwise, that young man will have been here, and you will not believe that he's the one that we're seeing his hands and everything everywhere.
Thank you.
So here I can stop. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Titus. Thank you very much. That's a glimpse of hope, indeed. When we hear such stories, they're encouraging, and they're also charting the way for us to do more. So, as you said, if we have rubbed in through that partnership in nothing, I think there are a whole lot of others who we could use his own experience as a ladder to reach out to. And I know in the civil society 10-point action plan, which they suggested, they also said to be able to make this an institutionalized process, like you said, a deliberate act of involving these people. There is a suggestion of within the technical working group to have a subcommittee that is purely focused on strategies of engaging private sector. I think that could be something NCFRMI would also want to explore, to be able to reach out to this network and pool of supporters we have from here. But if I tell you I'm not elated and delighted that this has happened, you know, I'm not saying the whole truth as it is. And I'm so much impressed. Now let's go to Mr. Charles. Mr. Charles, the question comes from me from two angles. The two angles of institutional memory, as you said to us yesterday and again today, that when you speak from the two entities of where you work. You are NCFRMI staff working for the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, but particularly that you started this journey in NCFRMI and have followed the thread. We are at the stage where we have looked back all that you guys have done to this stage, and we want to go further. So I want to, in 3 points, if you can itemize them in 3 points, tell us what could be done better in the way of moving, and how could, as a supervising agency now, that's the NCFRMI / the ministry, so much integrate your work in such a way that your supervising role brings that sustainability for NCFRMI, either in institution or in programs. I hope your questions are not too much. If they are, you break them and take one after the other.
Thank you very much. I think you are almost answering the question you are asking me. But having said that, please permit me to go back to the response we received from the SA from the Delta State government. And it is important to reiterate here that we are here for dialogue. And the essence of this, opening this floor of conversation, is for us to share our experiences and not to debunk what we feel that others are saying. Because from the standpoint you are coming, you may not have all the information the other person is coming from, so that we can encourage ourselves to share our experience without being felt that we will be being vilified or something like that. So having said that, I will strictly restrain myself to the issues of the way forward. Number one is the issues of policy review and focusing. I think the policy of national migration policy we have now is a policy that was approved in 2015,
But the journey to that policy started in 2008. So you can see that there must be a certain information and emerging issues that needed to be in that policy. And this time around, when we are talking about the review of the policy, it is important we look very closely on issues of policy harmonization. For example, we have a social protection policy. How is that policy speaking to the national migration policy? And presently, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs is developing a framework, an overarching framework that's supposed to drive all the intervention in Nigeria, focusing on development and the issues of peace building, which is the triple nexus of HDP. How will this framework be fed into the national migration policy? So it is important we begin to look at our policy review and begin now to think about reviewing the national migration policy. And beyond that, one thing keep resonating here, and that is the issue of triggering all the governance framework that we have, particularly the highest echelon, which is the National Consultative Committee, which has to do with the policymakers. Most of the time, we interrogate ourselves at the technical level, but we don't feed it into the political level and the policy level. And that I urge my colleagues, and I'm happy that our principal is here, that our next step is to also activate that level of coordination, which is NCC, so that at the end of interrogation and the debate like this, we will feed it to them for policy making and for policy engagement. Another issue I want to raise is the issue of a deeper engagement with the implementing partners. We should, as a government and as a Nigerian citizens, engage our partners, including IOM seated here, because most of the time, the partners sit on their table and develop programs for us and begin to implement, as if to say, I have not seen a place where you are babbing a man when in his absence. A man has to be present when you barb him. So it's important to begin to engage them so that we tell them what we need and where we want them to support us, and not them letting us know what we think that is good for us. So program development is very important. And I encourage us to begin to equally look very deeply into that as something coming out of this our dialogue today. And number 3, if I'm numbering it, I don't know, is also deeper engagement with donors. As you all know, every donor have an interest. Nobody just come to throw money away. Not that they love you. They are supporting you. They have interest they want to take away. What is our own Nigerian interest? If we are talking about the issue of migration, what is our migration focus? For example, the EU, their migration focus is return and reintegration. And even at Africa, at the national and the regional level, they always come up. For example, we talk about the regional meeting they have with Africa, when we talk about Valletta Action Plan. Valletta Action Plan has 5 pillars in which they want to support and work with Africa. But today, what are they focusing on? Only one pillar. And that pillar is return and reintegration. They want to empty Nigerians and Africans from their country. Is that how to manage migration? And we go there to discuss with them and sign into it. But our own focus, our concern is not about return. Our concern is about better management of migration, labor migration, how to get our people work and all this. So it's important to engage them, and we cannot engage them if we don't have our focus collected together. Number 3, you gave me 3, but I'll go to 5. Number 1 is
we will come back to you.
I wanted to round it off because I may forget. I didn't just articulate just like that.
Say it now. In 1
second. Thank you very much. And also the issues of opening up to the input from the society. When I mean the society now, I mean non-governmental actors, when we are having issues of a bilateral conversation. Because sometimes we are boxed to the corner when we are negotiating, because we may not have all the information. So henceforward, I think we are going to open up to a CSO. They may not be at the bilateral meeting, but we are going to let them know that this is what we are discussing. What is their input? Then we'll now go and with a collective input to now go and face our donors. In that case, we are really, truly applying the principles of the whole of society and the whole of government approach, so that we will be sure that we are taking the Nigerian interest into our bilateral and multilateral negotiation. I think for want of not taking time, let me stop here so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. Thank you, Mr. Charles. I think actually I am, again, very happy with what you've brought out, because what you brought out are things we can actually do. They are not things we will sit to think about. And the first one is the issue of policy review. The policy review is a program I think NCFRMI must put in place as we begin the new year. 2015 is over 6 years or 7 years now by 2022. So NCFRMI should put that as one of our programs to begin the review of the national migration policy. And then with that, of course, when we go into that, we will do the policy harmonization, which would feed into what you simply said. I think, again, I want to emphasize this because the HFC is here. To activate the first level of governance. Ma'am, I want to speak the voice of all of us. The first level of governance has not been fully engaged in our governance procedures. And that has actually made our progress not be as steadfast as we wanted, because they make the decision, they tell us what to do. This meeting from yesterday to today have said it again and again. We should do something to engage them. And I think one of the things we might take away from this dialogue this year is that we are not just only going to produce the reports of the dialogue, we should produce a policy brief from that, which will be sent to them directly. And we don't bother them to read 20 pages report, but they can read 1-page policy brief that will enable them to engage. That is the interministerial level who make decisions. So I think there should be a process of activating that, just as we have clamored. SFRM, I hope you're noting that these are actionable things we will do immediately. Let me leave that as we look at the parking lot. But the one that excited me again that you said as a CSO is opening the space of us engaging in a bilateral relationship, even in the informal sector. We're not looking for going to the meeting with you, but let us help you say what you should say. It is easier to tell your partner that my people said this, and you stand on them, because when you come back, we'll be able to implement what you say. Like, for instance, one of the things we are talking about from migration angle is that we want bilateral relationship moving towards creating more legal pathways to migration. We should begin to talk that. That is the part of partnership we want to see. As CSOs, we give you data and narrative that will help you to do that. Not just CSOs, other non-government actors. So I take you up for that, and I'm happy you said that. Now, the last round, everybody has 1 minute. We have 1 minute to bring out one point that either emphasize what we have said or put something that we have not said that we must do to be sure that our way forward is guided. So IOM, let me start with you. And I would, I don't know whether I should ask you this question though, because Charles said something like, we developing our program so that if you want to develop a program, it will become homegrown. So could you use that to say your last one?
Okay, yes, I think Mr. Charles is definitely on point, and we've started the process. We had a project we are just rounding up, the Swiss project on COVID-19. When the project was developed, the government of Nigeria, through the office of Mr. Charles, we looked at the document and said, okay, no, this is not the direction in total for the government of Nigeria, and the project was modified. So I think we want to give a round of applause. We're moving there, we're getting there gradually. So gradually implementing partners are also listening to the government of Nigeria. So we're moving there, but that needs to be strengthened, just like Mr. Charles mentioned. Also, I want to mention there's a need for harmonization of national database, of all the database. Each of the agencies, MDAs, already have a way they generate data, administrative data. There's a need to harmonize that data. Because I remember that when we developed the National Migration Database, people started complaining after the program and all that is, they already have databases in their offices, and then it needs to mirror what the National Migration Database. So these are new directions we need to look at, including the MIDAS and others. Also, there's a need for regional consultation at the regional level, the West Africa, the AU. We need to do more. We're there, we need to do more. Lastly, just like I mentioned earlier, there's a need to involve the executives and lobbying. What do I mean? National Commission for Refugee needs to probably now, we are doing it, but we need to do more, engage with that top executives. Now we are doing program. We need to actually sit down and actually organize the program at that level of governance. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Let's get to Ahmed. As private sector, again, what will be your last word for us to engage private sector in migration management? We had the example of Innocent that my Titus said. Tell us something new apart from what you said. Thank you.
The only thing that I will have to emphasize is that ultimately, the migrant labor, what we want to get to them are economic resources for which we bring in to develop our own economic systems here. And this is essentially a business model of which you will have to involve business communities in running this thing. So the collaboration we are talking about must include a collaboration not only with civil societies, but also with business organizations. I will want to see that probably next year, or in other events that we shall have between now and next year, we will have either chambers of commerce, we will have Nigerian Economic Summit Group. These are the business actors who will want to at least understand what we are working on, and from there they can pick up and bring up some business models for which a migrant labor force could be exploited in a way that it helps the economy in developing our own system, and in also helping those that are outside to come and a formidable working place in rehabilitating our economic structures and functions. So I think we shall expand the frontiers of our collaboration to involve business organizations in particular, so that we learn from their own experiences and also run them through our own system. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I love that idea that taking this as real business and not any other patronizing activity. And they often say that if you want a businessman to engage in your issue, make it a business talk. So we want to do a formal business talk with business partners, especially in the areas where it will profit them and profit us. Again, I think this is what the Migration Governance Coordinator, NCFRMI, would also, using the experiences of what they are doing, look up to us. Like they say, Nigerian migration dynamics is labor migration. That is the reason why we necessarily move. Now let's go to the CSOs. The CSOs, again, tell us from your 10-point action plan and all you've said here. Is there any last word that you will say? If you don't hear us, you must hear this.
All right, thank you very much, sir. So I'll come from two angles, as CSO and as a youth. First, we'll take the one of being a youth. I think there's got to be an intentional involvement of youth in migration governance. If we're talking about sustainability, then where is the place of the youth in all this? It's really exciting that we have youth core members today and they're even contributing to the process. It's applaudable. But I think we can do more. Most times when we get to hear about youth in this whole process, it's either with regards to reintegration, either they have gone and they're coming back, or with regards to creating awareness. It seems as though you remember us when it's time to create awareness on dangers of irregular migration. There's going to be a deliberate involvement of youth in all of these processes. Like relying on what Mr. Charles said earlier, that you can't barb a person's hair in the absence. If you can't talk about migration without talking about youth, then somehow we have to be deliberately involved in all the processes. Then as CSO, you see these beautiful strategies we have raised today, our beautiful action plans, policies. If we do not take steps to actualize them, they will just be like beautiful stories in a storybook that are just there. We must take action. And to achieve this, it's in us, it's in our hands to do this. So it's not left for us to decide whether or not we want the strategies or action plans to just be storybooks, or we want them to be something we can remember and say, this was what we formulated and we achieved the sustainable development we desire. Thank you.
Thank you, CSO. Thank you, Mr. Osato, for that. I actually want to hear you say from CSOs the way we speak, like we are in your face. Yeah, we are in your face. We have brought these 10 action plans. We will bug you until you do them. Right?
Yes, sir.
So we'll be knocking at all doors till we see this work done. We will collaborate with you to get it done. We have it identified. And we said it is one point after the other.
Yes,
we are
sir.
not rushing, but we have a check card. So what you are saying in essence is that first, as a youth, you cannot talk about us without us, right? Then as CSOs, what we have given you, we will see it done. So thank you for saying that. And I think that is where we stand. Let me go back to, I think I will go this rather now, the other way around. Let me hear the, Mr. Charles, what will be your last word before we go to NCFRMI?
Let me very humbly and respectfully conclude by just emphasizing on one thing. And that is not just about developing policies, but ensuring that our policies and our strategies and our SOPs drive the interventions on migrations in Nigeria. For example, we have developed a standard operating procedure for the conduct of a return, reintegration, and readmission in Nigeria. What is the level of the operationalization and how does it drive the issues of return? And this is a very big assignment for all of us, particularly the CSOs. You should look at the government and see where the government is going, because there is another way that our partners achieve there by going through the back door to meet the CSOs, give them some, I won't call it stipend, maybe some loans. And they will be dancing, moving around without looking whether are they really implementing what is the focus of the government, and does it benefit the government at the end of the day? What is the impact? We are going to, and most importantly, it is important we begin to evaluate all the programs, monitor all the programs that or interventions of our partners at the impact level. You know, monitoring is at different levels. Most of the time we monitor at the output level. We have done ABCD, we have done ABCD. What about the impact? How have it impacted our people? That is very important, and the onus lies on us. It is one of the takeaways for this, and I believe that the rapporteurs will really highlight this because we are going to use it to engage our principals. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charles. I like that. I like that you indicted the CSOs, and we will take care of that. I like also that you ended up with that evaluation of programs. I love that. And I know at least one of the institutions I collaborate with, Center for Migration Studies, is also undertaking that initiative to review most of our programs, especially from the point of view of RRR. Thank you for saying that. Now, finally, I would say to NCFRMI, what will be your last word as a custodian of all we have said and of what we have promised?
Yeah, I really appreciate the valuable contribution from the members here. And I would like to make a passionate appeal to this plenary session. We come from different states, different regions, different locations. That is, we're talking about sensitization now. we're talking about the grassroots. You are ambassadors, you are advocates on behalf of our respective community. What happened yesterday has never happened. Now that CSOs has become a formidable force in migration governance in Nigeria, I want us to remember the elaborate gallanade that we had yesterday. We should not take it for granted. We want to see this thing being reflected in action. We want to see that this thing is sensitization goes to the root, to the people at the grassroots, and to see that by next time when we gather here again, we will be telling success stories. I want to thank you for this opportunity that you have allowed us here to contribute. Thank you for your valuable contribution. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. It will not be whole of panel and whole of audience event if we did not take the audience contribution. Please, what we are looking for is addition. We are looking for 2 concrete additions of way forward. No more interrogating stories. Say, we want to do this. And if you're not saying that, please don't ask for microphone. And I said I will take 2 persons. I'm saying 2, I'm raising 4. Okay. Now we share it evenly. The persons that have not spoken, 1, please stay on the point, and I would ask the people passing microphone, when you hear knock, please take the microphone off. So 1, let me go that side. Is there a man? Okay, you, the first person here, 2. Please, I value your points. Kindly jot them and bring it to us. It is very important. It's not like we are not hearing you. Please, please, we need it. So, madam, you have 30 seconds.
Thank
if
you.
Will do justice.
My name is Okoye Hope Kiruka. The aspect I want to bring in, though it's from the other panel, but it's part of the way forward of what we're talking about. The involving our diaspora, the people in diaspora, and harnessing their resources. The resources is not only their money, their finance, but they have skills, they have knowledge to transfer. So looking at this, our diaspora person in the other panel said, we can even collaborate with him. He can impart skills and knowledge to our youth. So I'm using it as an example that we can harness such resources for.
Okay, thank you. I love that too. So again, sorry, here, sir. Himself, yes. Yes, thank you. Harnessing our diaspora engagement beyond their remittances, physical remittances, harnessing their intellectual remittances. Yes, sir.
Okay.
30 seconds.
Okay. My name is Salisu Isa Ahmad, and I want to add a way forward to what has been said earlier at this very important occasion. And I believe part of what we need to do at CSO level is we need to do more resource mobilization, because we need to support the system very well, because it's a long journey. We have a lot to do. So I want to call on our CSOs partners that we should go back to our own various states and organizations with a lot of commitment, knowing that we had a lot to do resource mobilization, because when you talk about advocacy for policy change, you need to have resources. We need to support each other so that we can achieve more.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I hear that very well. CSO resource mobilization strategy. I think we should improve on that. From experience, we know that you can write 200 projects. Maybe one may pass the second stage. So we want to diversify our policy, our fundraising, to be able to mobilize our resources. I want to thank the panelists for a job well done. And I also want to recognize the first act that shows progress in migration dialogue. Permit me or correct me if I didn't go rightly. And I would also say that, okay, somebody wants us to ask to involve involve National Orientation Agency in the awareness creating. We know that. Somebody said continue the advocacy. Then how do we annex our corporate social responsibilities? Yes, in the private sector to sustain migration development. I love that. Whoever shared this, you will share my lunch. Yes, what I was saying that is so important to me, which I call those from memory of the history to correct, is that this is one of the very, 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 or if not the only migration dialogue that we have had. And we had the NCFRMI, our Honorable Federal Commissioner, to the end of it. And so I will applaud Madam for that. And then, of course, you have had all we have put forward on your table for our proposal on the way forward. I think the formal way to conclude this stage, as my panelists go down, is for us to invite you to the podium to formally tell us what you feel and what you think we should do. If you think we should stay here and stay for the night, we don't mind. If you think we should go have lunch and go home, we don't mind. But we are behind you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to start by applauding you all, and I would like each and every one of us to give ourselves a pat on the back. We have all done so well, from the planning stage to the initial day of the National Migration Dialogue to today. So I feel so excited and, so happy standing in front of you, knowing that, as far as migration is concerned, we're on the right track, and we're all ready to take it to the next level. Coming in at the end of the panel discussion, I picked a thing or two. One of them being the review of the national policy. If you remember, Mr. Emeka, during your book launch, the Nigerian Migration Dynamic Governance, I did state to the stakeholders that our policy is due for review, and I'm glad that we're all set as stakeholders to review it so that we can address gaps. Also, I heard Mr. Titus telling Nigerians, or telling us that it's not easy to do business in Nigeria, and I agree with him, but it's not easy to run a business anywhere in the world. Every country has their own intrigues, they have their own challenges, and we're not all called out to run businesses. But as long as it's your calling and you stay the course, irrespective of businesses being had in Nigeria, we still have people that are succeeding as business owners. So I don't want us to be discouraged. Let's know that regardless, we can still achieve. Yes, as a government, we have to keep strengthening our policies and making it more accommodating for new businesses to thrive. I've been a business owner, I've had business interest both in this country and abroad, and I know what it means to run a business. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Because as they say, it's better to earn a salary, profit than salary, because your salary is capped, but your profit, you can always multiply it at any given time. So yes, I agree, we'll work with all the relevant agencies to see that we address these gaps. Just a few days ago, I was watching on TV the 5-year review of the ease of the PEBEC, the Presidential Ease of Doing Business Committee. And I saw that they have made tremendous progress from almost 160 something. We're making it to almost the 100th. And I think that is good progress. Rome was not built in a day, but as long as we continue to work, collectively, intentionally, we'll get there. Also, we also spoke about whole of society, whole of government. That has been the approach for us as a commission. We keep on reaching out. Mr. Titus spoke about the collaboration between the commission and Innocent Motors. There's many more of such happening, even within the government MDAs. We realize that the funds we have in the commission to manage migration and to support persons of concern is not enough. So we're reaching out to other government agencies that have funds for the vulnerable so that they can also support us from that angle. We're reaching out to NIDDA. NIDDA has agreed to train 10,000 persons of concerns and their host communities in the areas of multimedia, ICT skills so that they can earn. I'm reaching out to partners to see that they can support them with the starter packs, and it's gonna happen. We're just about to start the piloting phase. We've reached out to other private sector players. There's the iCreate. He's one of the major skill player in Nigeria. He's going to start with training about 50 high-level skills so that they can also be able to duplicate themselves. There's something about building momentum. When you build momentum, we can trigger prosperity, and very easily we can multiply ourselves. So we'll be reaching out to everybody. SMIDA, we'll be reaching out to NDE, everybody that has the funds to be able to support returnees, the IDPs, the refugees. And like I told them, whenever I have a contact with our persons of concerns, I'll tell them that, look, you guys are not any persons of concerns. You guys are survivors. For God to keep you alive, He has a bigger, plan for you. So I would like you to rise up to the occasion. Let's not operate from the angle of pity. Let's operate from an angle of, amplifying, whatever they, it's inbuilt within them to be able to support and key into this era of nation building. Talking about amplifying, we all spoke about sensitization, advocacy. There's a need for us to come together, amplify our voices. Human trafficking comes with a lot of implications. Coming from NAPTIP, I know what I have seen. It is unbelievable. It is unspeakable. I'm sure my colleagues in IOM would agree. It's very important that we come together as a force to do whatever it takes to reduce the level of human trafficking, especially with Nigeria being a country of source. Most of the people that are victims, there's a misconception from other levels of government that it is a thing of choice. It is out of greed. It's not usually the case. These people are being manipulated, they are being brainwashed, and they are migrating for greener pasture. This brings me to the point that Mr. Charles made about migration. What are our migration goals? When people are leaving the country, it shouldn't be because there isn't better in Nigeria. It's because they want to go for a different kind of exposure. They want to go and study. They want to go and have a feel of, a different country. When I left here, once upon a time, I was a migrant. When I left Nigeria, it wasn't because they were in better schools. I went to nursery school, primary school, and my first degree in Nigeria. When I decided to leave for my master's, it was because I wanted to have a different exposure, not because there were no good schools in Nigeria. So what is our migration goal as a country? And I think that's the topic that we must look into during the policy review so that we can decide collectively, what are we pushing forward with regards to our migration policy? What is the goal? When we're engaging with our partners at every level, what is it that we're standing for as a country? What do we represent? So once again, I would like to thank you all very much. Like I said, from the technical team, the committee that put this together, I would like to thank CSO NetMade. You guys are truly superstars. All the civil society organizations that work with us in managing migration. I'd like to thank our partners. Our partners are truly superstars. Sometimes we never see real life Superman or Spider-Mans, but trust me, this category of people are truly Spider-Mans and Supermans, because without them, there won't be us who won't be able to be. I'd like to thank our stakeholder partners, the other MDAs, the Nigerian Immigration Services, the NAPTIP, for the support that they give us. Without them, we will not be able to fulfill or achieve our mandate to the maximum. I'd like to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs,
for all that they do. I'd like to thank the Ministry of Labor. I would like to thank our ministry, our modern ministry, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management, Social Development. Just in 2 years, we have made giant strides. I'd like to especially thank our minister for the support that she gives us and the belief that she has in us. I'd like to thank Mr. President. For the first time, I see a very high level of political will in migration issues, and I know that this is just the beginning. And finally, before I step aside, I would like to thank the media for staying with us all through the day. Once again, thank you so much. And I'd like to leave it for Mr. Emeka to decide what we do with the rest of the day, but I'm here. And Mr. Title.
And in that case, one of the reasons why we actually set up to this time before lunch is because we had late tea break, so we needed to have good appetite for lunch. I'm kidding though. We are grateful, HFC, for the opportunity you gave us to work, and it's a collaboration between two groups, government and non-government, and we put it together. We've thanked the committee that set it up. And on behalf of the team, we are saying a great thank you to the particular individuals who actually took the heat of the moment to do this. We cannot thank IOM enough, not just because they are partners, but even when it seemed very impossible, they pushed and pushed harder to see that this happens. So IOM, we are grateful. And we are thanking you individually, Elizabeth, Banke, Amaka, Prestige, Emeka, and every other person. Let them know that we are happy and grateful that you did this. And the staff of NCFRMI, led by our acting deputy director, Titus, and the migration head, Gloria, and her team, and the steering committee from the CSO level that put this together. I can't forget our chair of the day, Mary, and her co-chair, Osita. As we said, they have demonstrated for us the present, the past, the present, and the future. So we are so grateful that it all has happened through your effort. If you look at this end, you will see a team of rapporteurs. I mean, I have not seen them this way before. They are writing, they are reporting, and they were transmitting. The CSO the CSO activities were done yesterday, provided yesterday, and read today. And we hope that is how the report of this dialogue will come out. We'll do the report, we'll do the press briefing we promised, so that HFC can use that to talk to her colleagues in implementing what we have. And it is on this note we call NCFRMI to finally give us the word of letting out this place. Mr. Titus, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Reverend Father Emeka. Protocol cannot be broken. Once my boss has spoken, and that is final, I will not add to what she has said. Mine is just an announcement that some of you that have receipt or something to submit, try to reach the appropriate personnel to drop your ticket. Thank you very much. I think time for lunch.
Please, a piece of information as you go. All those from outside Abuja that were receiving their invitation letters today, reporting, submitting their receipts, their boarding passes, everything you have, please come to this rapporteur table to make sure that every document of yours is complete. If you have not